right into. First of all, I'm Major General of the Chamber's Military Affairs Committee. Introduce Mr. Burke Hare, the site director for the Space Development Agency. Rick mentioned Space Development Agency comes up with a requirement, says I give this to somebody to develop something, to actually put something in space. This is a new kid on the block called the Space Development Agency. You need to get to know who they are, because what they're doing now and what they're planning to do in the next couple of years is going to be a game changer for all of us in the defense of our country. Especially when you're talking, he talks about the operating the proliferated warfighter space architecture. So Mr. Rick Hare is, or Burke Hare has been with us. He joined SDA in 2021. He's no stranger to this community. Please help me introduce and welcome Mr. Burke Hare. Burke Hare.
Thank you. Better known as Wild.
Anybody would like to talk to me about Rick here? Good morning. Thank you, gentlemen. That was great. Wild works too, if you can't keep that working. So it's real exciting to be here in front of all of you to talk about the Space Development Agency and particularly talk about the Space Development Agency South. That's a thing, and it's on it's here, and it's on Redstone Arsenal, and we're growing a mission here, SDA South. Thanks to the Chamber for inviting us. Thanks to Lieutenant General Mohan and for them teeing us up. Colonel Cozine and General Mohan have been fantastic supporters of what we're trying to do on the Arsenal, and their support has been fantastic. Before I get to the charts, I do want to tell you that I'm really, I got to be honest. I mean, if you told this 1984 Space Camp graduate from Atlanta that he'd be over here talking to you all about a Department of Defense space operations mission going into Redstone Arsenal, I would have told you you're nuts. So it's a real privilege to be here to talk about that. So let's talk about SDA. Next chart. We're going to talk about who we are, what we do, how we do it, and why we do it. So who are we? We are recognized as the constructive disruptor for space acquisition in the Department of Defense. We have a mission to quickly deliver needed space-based capabilities to the joint warfighter to support terrestrial missions. We are lean and we're agile. In the entire Space Development Agency, we've only got approximately 270 employees. And we're military, civilians, and contractors, and we're experienced and we're all empowered to get the job done. So what are we doing? As the general indicated, we're developing, we are fielding, and we are going to operate the proliferated warfighter space architecture. And in fact, we already are operating the first instantiation of the proliferated warfighter space architecture, and I'll talk to you about that in a minute. With two primary missions: to conduct beyond line of sight targeting for time-sensitive ground maritime targets, and to go after the hypersonic and advanced missile threat with warning and tracking. So how are we going to do that? We capitalize on a business model that values speed, lowers cost by harnessing commercial development to achieve proliferated architectures to enhance our resilience. We're going to deliver a minimum viable product to get the mission done. So what's our theme of how we do that? Next chart. Now listen, I want everybody to understand that we all like to greet ourselves by various ways. Perhaps one way might be War Eagle. Another might be that other term. I would not be afraid. I would encourage you, if you run into an SDA employee, I would not be afraid to walk up to them and say, Semper Sidious. And I'd encourage you to do that. So what is Semper Sidious? It means always faster. This is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to deliver good enough capabilities in the hands of the joint warfighter sooner, because that may be better than delivering perfect too late. We take more risk. We use novel business methods. We develop and field faster than you may have heard or feel or comfortable with, or believe is traditional. This builds resiliency in us as a team from SDA and the proliferated warfare space architecture. We're moving ahead the speed of the threat because we know the joint warfighter is counting on us. We think about the joint warfighter every day. And we're developing these on time in 2-year cycles that we call tranches with spiral development, and we add capabilities to future generations as the threat evolves. Next, please. This is probably the most important chart for me to start us off with, make sure that everybody knows this. The Space Development Agency is part of the United States Space Force in the Department of the Air Force. We've been part of the U.S. Space Force for more than a year. We function as a wholly owned subsidiary of the U.S. Space Force, but we're allowed to keep our own independent culture, our values of speed above all, emphasizing our delivery, and execute with an agile approach to acquisition and program management. So if you look down the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see my director, Dr. Derek Tredier, where he sits. And he likes to point out that he has 2 bosses. He has General Chance Saltzman, the Chief of Space Operations in the United States Space Force, and the Assistant Secretary of the Air Force for Space Acquisition and Integration, Mr. Cavalli. The United States Space Force today operates about 83 satellites. Something to keep in mind as we go forward. Next. So what are we doing at Space Development Agency? We are building out the proliferated warfighter space architecture, which is a global weapons system. The vision of it is to build a space-based systems of systems as a service, with surveillance and targeting being the focus, with 4 cornerstones: custody of targets, fire control quality tracking, on-orbit battle management, command control communications, and even alternate positioning, navigation, and timing. As a former GPS crew commander from the 2nd Space Operations, I'm always excited when I see positioning, navigation, and timing in anything. It will be enabled by a transport layer. It will be proliferated, resilient. We'll have a low latency global mesh network for communications. And as we move forward, we're going to infuse those emerging capabilities as they come available. Next chart. So these tranches. So we're used to spiral, blocks. The Space Development Agency uses the term tranche. We've got tranche 0, which is a warfighter immersion. Basically, can we do this? Can we do this at cost? Can we show that we can do schedule, scale, and system performance? And guess what? As you're going to see in the next chart, we are. Tranche 1 is an initial warfighting capability, and that's to provide a regional persistence with Link 16. We're going to bring advanced missile detection beyond the line of sight targeting. We're going to demonstrate ultra-high frequency and S-band tactical SATCOM. Ladies and gentlemen, we're bringing Tranche 1 to Redstone Arsenal. Tranche 2 is an enhanced warfighting capability, providing global persistence and advanced tactical data links. I'm looking forward to seeing Tranche 2 at Redstone Arsenal. And then we have future tranches, sustained capability and autonomous automation for Tranche 3 and 4. Next. Now, this is the best I can do. No video. I can call back to headquarters and say, we don't even have a video. We're going so fast, I don't have a video. So I apologize for that. But guess what? We did Tranche 0. We're on orbit right now with the proliferated warfighter space architecture. We've had 2 launches so far. On April 2nd of this year, we delivered our first 10 satellites on orbit. We did it in 30 months from order to getting it into orbit. 30 months from the time the order was placed to the time that they were put on orbit. And then 27 months from order to orbit for our tracking satellites. In September 2nd, we delivered an additional 13 satellites into orbit, and we were able to drive our costs down and get the cost per vehicle down to $15 million per transport satellite. It shows how we're collaborative, we're creative, and it shows how we're continuing to demonstrate we can maintain schedule. Schedule is king. to deliver enhanced capabilities every 2 years. And if you've not seen it, I'd encourage you all to go look out. We had an announcement yesterday. It's really exciting. Army warfighters are going to go nuts, I think. We had our first ever Link 16 network entry through a space-to-ground connection for low Earth orbit from Tranche 0 yesterday. So that's historic. And if you've not seen that, that news announcement, I'd encourage you to go take a look at that. There's another launch coming up. We've got 4 tracking layer spacecraft that are coming up. We're actually hitching a ride with our friends in the Missile Defense Agency with their hypersonic ballistic tracking and space center satellites. So we're looking forward to that upcoming launch to complete out Tranche 0. Next chart. Tranche 1. Tranche 1. So if you look down, if you look at all the satellites and all the capability that we're bringing in that we talked about with our initial warfighting capability, you'll see 2 buildings down there on the Earth. One of those is Redstone Arsenal. This initial warfighting capability is on track to field the first operational generation of the PWSA beginning in late 2024. Tranche 1 is going to include approximately 160 satellites. Let me give you an idea of what that means. So as you all know, a satellite's a spacecraft. You've got a payload, you've got a bus with a mission. To give you an idea of how many that is, all of you over here in this aisle, this is about 150 chairs over here. So each one of these seats represents an individual satellite that we're going to fly in the Tranche 1 constellation from Redstone Arsenal. You can see that we have our performers: Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, L3Harris. We have York. We have Lockheed Martin. Northrop has actually got 2 missions for us. We have 12 demonstration tactical satellites that are not actually part of the operational constellation that we're going to launch. And you can see our partner. You can see SAIC, Iridium, General Dynamics Mission Systems. Next, 2 years later, we deploy the Proliferate Warfighter Space Architecture Tranche 2 2027 for 2027 to be ready. We're already well in the procurement phase for Tranche 2 to support a 2026 delivery so that we have the constellation ready to go on orbit in 2027. To give you an idea, that's about 270 operational vehicles that we'll be adding to those 150. So just to give you an idea, Tranche 2 is basically your section and your section combined. So this entire room basically represents individual seats, and this entire room represents the amount of satellites that we will operate from Redstone Arsenal. Pretty exciting stuff. Again, you go back and you realize that the entire United States Space Force at this time is operating 80 spacecraft. The GPS constellation is 32 spacecraft in 6 different orbital planes. So we're pretty stoked to be bringing this. Next chart. So what is this SDA South? This is a Redstone update after all. We've got 2 missions. Our missions is to bring the PWSA space operations capability here with our space networking operations south, and then we have additional SDA South personnel footprint because we have folks from other areas of the Space Development Agency that are actually here, and a lot of them have come here from out of state and out of town to be with us. We are here because we're near other related activities such as the Missile Defense Agency and the Space and Missile Defense Command, and appreciate the shout out from SMDC. We represent the 2nd largest presence behind the Space Development Agency headquarters at the National Capital Region. We are the 2nd largest SDA presence behind the headquarters. I think we're going to see some limited growth in size with our mission and personnel as the Tranche 1 and Tranche 2 continue, and we continue with our construction. Our operations center is, that we call Operations Center South, or officially Space Networking Operations Center South, is on schedule to be ready for operations in FY24. We're leveraging existing facilities. We're not going after MilCon right now. We've gone in and we're leveraging existing facilities. The garrison has been fantastic. They're performing the refurbishment of this existing facility and helping us stay on time, making sure that we're there for when the satellites need to be received by our officer. And we awarded that contract on time as well back in FY22. Also, I want to thank the Arsenal because they helped me acquire an additional facility. We have a mission support facility nearby, and no funding or modifications have been done to that building. It was in move-in ready condition, and that was a huge win for us. As far as personnel go, we have about approximately 20 plus people here at Redstone Arsenal. We have an Army cadre. And they're totally focused on the joint warfighter. That cadre is Army space officers. I have an air defender. I have an artillery officer, and they are focused on the needs of the joint warfighter. I've got engineering. I've got acquisition folks, program management folks, engineering personnel here, and we've drawn from this community in many ways. Now, how about personnel growth? We expect to grow to about 70 people with the stand-up of Operation South by late summer of 2024. And again, that would be a mix of civilians, military, and contractors on site performing satellite operations missions, providing direct support to the joint warfighter. Redstone is a key center of gravity for the PWSA. My sister operations center is at Grand Forks, North Dakota, and we jointly operate the PWSA. We're going to both operate and control multi-layer satellite operations for the Tranche 1, which includes the transport and tracking. The Tranche 1 constellation, as we said, will increase the U.S. Space Force satellite inventory by about a factor of 3, with the vast majority of the Space Force satellites flying out of Redstone. And once operational, Operations Center South will represent the only U.S. Space Force Satellite Operations Center located in the Southeast United States. And we are your operational mission for the Space Force in Alabama. Next chart. So what are we? We're a constructive disruptor. We're focused on proliferation and spiral development. We're really working that low latency mesh communications network. We're going to deliver new capabilities to the warfighter every 2 years. And we've been able to demonstrate that we can do that. We're going to create a marketplace to strengthen the space industrial base through scheduled solicitations, agnostic to incumbents. By the way, I saw there was a solicitation that went out last night. We're leading standards that are being adopted by industry. And as we discussed, our launches for our first 2 launches are complete. We're looking forward to getting up there with our partners at MDA. Tranche 1 is well on its way and on schedule. And Tranche 2 is acquisition is progressing. And we're looking forward to adding to the Redstone constellation. We have ISS on orbit, and I'm looking forward to bringing Tranche 1 to the Redstone constellation. And without a doubt, we're representing Redstone around the world and beyond. Buckle up, it's going to be exciting. Thank you.